Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, welcome again to Mosaic Sparks. I just looked up on the banner and see this is our ninth episode. So thank you all for being here with us. We're probably up to about 8,500 views. So we would not be at 8,500 views if you were not tuning in. So welcome again. This is Leslie George, founder, CEO of Mosaic Inc. and Mosaic Publishing. And every other week when we go live, I have these incredible women that are visionaries. So this morning is like no other. So the person that I'm going to bring forward, her name is Janae Walker. We call her affectionately Jay. She's an international personal growth and business development speaker, coach, and trainer. Jay comes with over 19 years of sales and marketing experience in various fields in education, in medical and advertising industry. And she is a chief inspiration officer at the Success Group Inc. and the founder of Sales Success Society. And she is dedicated to serving people and hopes to inspire both entrepreneur and career sales professionals to be their absolute best version of themselves while selling their products and services. And Jay is also a devoted Christian, loves connecting with others, and currently resides in South Florida. And let me just say that about currently resides in South Florida, right? So I am also in Florida. And this week, I know for some of you that may be up north in America or maybe in some other countries that you are experiencing cold, but we don't understand what cold is, right? Right now, it is probably about 50 degrees. And when it's like that, we just don't know how to do nothing, right? But I have the pleasure to welcome to the stage my friend, your sales success coach, none other than Janae Walker. Hey Jay, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, Leslie. Oh my God, you're so right. It is so cold. We
Yeah.
don't know how to act. I'm not coming outside today. It's winter outside.
Like I went to open the door to see first to check and see if anybody was letting the dogs out, if the dogs went out. But I opened the door and I was like, whoo, 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 back in. Yeah, yeah. No. Just opening the front door was back in. So glad you are here. You look absolutely beautiful. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
that
So do
you are
you.
you are welcome. So glad that you are here with us. And so tell the people just a little. I gave a brief bio, but just tell the people just a little bit more about you.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Jay. Well, everybody calls me Jay. And I am a sales professional. I've been selling products since I got out of graduate school a very long time ago. And I found a passion for doing something that I never thought that I would be able to do. And so I get the opportunity today is to take all those years of learning sales, learning marketing, learning how to acquire business. And I get the pleasure of working with entrepreneurs and sales professionals all over the globe, teaching them different strategies and different ways that they too can either grow their business or grow their territory or book a business. And so I founded the Sales Success Society as a safe place for all of us to come together to learn, to grow, to share, and to make that money.
I love that, right? Because at the end of the day, some people don't want to talk about money, but like I've heard different speakers say, it is right up there with oxygen because as oxygen, we need to breathe, right? So with money, we do need money to do different things. So thank
Yeah, well, money is the oxygen for your business. How about that?
I love that. And let me get my pen because I love to do my quotes with my speakers. And that is great. Money is the oxygen for your business, right?
Yep.
Um, and so here's the other thing. My audience, my clients have strictly been women. And one of the things that I find that's so interesting is that women historically have run households, right?
Mhm.
However, although they've run households, when it comes to speaking about money or even asking for the money in their business, there seems to be some sort of disconnect for women. I can't tell
Mhm.
you about men because I don't really coach men. So,
Mhm.
in your experience, have you found that as you are a sales professional, almost going on 20 years experience, Have you found the same thing that when it comes to women and talking about money, and then we'll dive into talking about sales, is there that type of disconnect?
I think there is. I think subconsciously, women, we have a hard time promoting ourselves, right? And so there is this level of subconscious insecurity, right? Like we might not know exactly what it is, but it shows up in so many different forms. And being able to ask for the business could be a part of that. But I find that asking for the business is a lot harder for people who do not understand value. That could be
Mm,
value in themselves or value in their product.
that is good. It's always about value, right? And
Mhm.
so, as we're talking about value, um, what, how do you approach selling a product or service when the client doesn't initially see its value?
Well, that's where sales comes in, right? I don't expect every prospect that I meet to really understand the value. That's where my skill set comes in. So what you have to do as a sales professional is you really have to understand there's layers to the conversation. And unless you really know the layers to the conversation, you're not going to understand how to present that value. So the best way to present that value is by asking questions. Sales is nothing more than a problem solving type of activity. So if you don't have a problem, or if that prospect doesn't have a problem that you necessarily solve, then rightfully so, you will not have a customer. So there has to be some type of a problem in order for that customer to realize any type of value.
So that's good. So I'm gonna give you an example. So
Mhm.
it's not I feel me as the entrepreneur, as a business owner, I come up with this thing and I think it's great, right? I think this thing, hey, good morning. We have someone that's watching. So thank you for joining
Hi,
us.
good morning.
So here's the thing. What you mentioned is you have to be able to solve a problem. So the
Yes.
example I'm gonna throw out there. So I'm a business owner and I come up with this idea that I feel, oh my goodness, this is a tremendous idea. Everybody's gonna love it.
Yeah.
And then as I'm trying to sell this thing, the marketplace is telling me, we not buying it because it's not a problem that you're solving. And I think that a lot of times entrepreneurs, business owners start a business based on something that they may love, but it may not be based on something the marketplace is asking for. And hence that's where we would run into that sales situation where now they don't want to get into that sales conversation. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. It's so funny that you say that because when I first started my journey, when I first switched over to marketing my sales products and services, I thought that I could initially just go in and start talking about, okay, this is how you sell. But what was happening was where business owners were coming to me with unvalidated businesses, meaning they didn't take the time to validate whether or not the market was ready or in need of their product or services. So I had to frustratingly, if that's a word, I had to back out of my sales process to come back and to go into helping them to validate their business. And I'm going to tell you, they were a little frustrated with me because when we start these businesses, these are passion um I guess you would say they're like passion products and services, right? Like I started my business of sales training because I love sales, right? So if somebody was to come to me and say, "Oh, we don't need sales," I'm going to be very defensive. And so that's what was kind of happening to me. I was getting a lot of people with unvalidated ideas, and here I am telling them that we need to look and make sure that the market is even ready or in need for this product or service. So they got a little defensive. But for those people who understood the process of what I was saying, and maybe some of them had to tweak their ideas just a little bit, once we were able to tweak it to make sure that it was something that was sellable, now you can go into the marketplace. I highly, highly, highly would recommend pouring all of your time, money, and energy into something that is not validated yet.
I absolutely love that, right? Um, Unvalidated businesses. And so, for those of you that may not have had that term and understand what that term is, I do highly suggest that you do take some time. You may hear people say, have you done the market research? And that's kind of part of it, right? So,
Yeah.
doing that
Yeah.
market research to really see, okay, is this thing out there needed? Because, like Jay said, you can get very defensive. And here's what you don't want. You don't want to build up that type of emotion and so forth to something that you're thinking now. Now you're going to start questioning yourself. And it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the market. So thank you so much for that, Jay.
Yeah.
The other question I want to pop into you as we're talking about businesses and validating the market. How do you tailor your sales pitch to different personality types or decision makers?
That's a really great idea of a question because I love talking about customer types, buyer profiles, all of that. So listen, this is part of the fun part of the job, right? You're going to be talking to so many different people when you're out there marketing and selling your services. And so I want you to think about this. I want you to think about how you show up, right? How you show up authentically is something that no one can ever take away from you. But you also have to remember that how your customer is going to show up is also authentically how they're going to show up, right? And so part of the sales process is being able to build rapport and connect with other people. And how do you do that? You connect with other people by getting people to know, like, and trust you. And how do you do that? By being like minded. And so when you look at these different types of customer profiles, you want to be able to identify, well, how does this person genuinely like to be sold to? It's not about how I like to sell at this point. It goes back to this customer centric type of focus, right? What type of information do they need in order to be able to understand and to want to maybe buy this product, right? So there's 4 different types of personality types out there, and sometimes we could be a mixture of all 4 of them, right? But you have amiable customers that are really friendly. You have expressive customers that are, these are your people that expressive, they're just overly dramatic. They love telling stories. You have your drivers, people that move super fast. And then you have your analytical people. Here's a note. I'm not an analytical person, but I tend to run into a lot of analytical customers that want fact, they want data, they want some type of support from me to validate my product, what I'm able to do, my numbers, and all that stuff. That is how they like to be sold. So, as a sales professional or as a entrepreneur who sells, I need to be able to understand who I'm walking into the room with, right? Sometimes you can do that through customer research. If you are a coach and you're selling business to consumer, maybe you can go and look on their social media. You can generally tell by the way that they make their posts, how they interact, what type of person they might be, right? But sometimes you don't get that opportunity, especially for those of us who might sell in the B2B. I mean, you could look on their LinkedIn, but LinkedIn doesn't really allow you to share a lot of your personality. So the way I do it is I can tell a person's personality within the first 3 minutes or so of my conversation. I'm trying to figure out who I'm talking to. That's going to help me to understand what information this person could possibly want in order to make a buying decision. And Leslie, honestly, that's where the fun comes in. Like I always wanted to be a psychologist when I grew up, but buyer psychology is so important to understand and to grasp if you're going to want to have, you know, to grab a big chunk of your marketplace. You want to know who your customers are.
So that was absolutely juicy, right? So amiable, expressive drivers and analyticals, right? So in the way that you just laid this out, basically what you said, it has nothing to do with us. For us, we are always fact finding
Yeah.
because if we have a product, service, whatever it is that we have, and we want others to be able to purchase for them, for us to solve their problem, we need to know how they buy and what the problem is.
Yeah.
So this was absolutely great. And Menno Skin has a question up here. Let me just go ahead and put it up here. So when you do the research and it's needed but slow sales, I'm thinking, um, I'm thinking doing the research and that might slow down your sales. I'm thinking the question is, how do you handle that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, if I understand correctly, you're saying you did your market research. The market says that there's a place for your product and service, but your sales are slow. There's a couple of ways to diagnose exactly what's happening. Some of the things that I have to do is, first off, we need to make sure that you're in the right lake, in the right part of the lake where the fish are, right? Sometimes we're casting our net or casting our fishing line where there's no fish. So that could definitely be a problem, right? Sometimes we have to think about what type of bait are we putting on that line. What and that has to do with the messaging. What does your messaging sound like, right? When you're out there prospecting. The other thing that I have to ask you to look at is what does your activity look like, right? So if you tell me that you want 3 to 4 sales a week, but you have 10 outreaches a week, I would tell you that herein lies your problem if everything else lines up, right? So we need to first be able to dictate, starting with 100 calls, right? So this is where I start everybody at. For a week, I want you to reach out to 100 people. And then from those 100 people, I want you to notate how many people gave you a response. And then from all those people that gave you a response, I want you to notate all the people that got on a call with you or you were able to give a sales presentation to. And then out of those people, I want you to notate how many people said yes. From there, we can be able to dictate where your numbers are and where you have to kind of pivot in order to get the 3 to 4 sales a week. And so we call that sales engineering. So you kind of have to backtrack that and see where your numbers are. But if the market says it's valid, where are you fishing? What's your message? And what's your numbers? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis?
So let's back up on that 100 calls. The 100 calls, I'm sorry, is that a week or a month?
I would say start with 100 calls a week.
Okay. So we may
Mhm.
have some people that are watching, they're going to say, oh, I don't know 100 people. What are some suggestions? Because when the brain, we hear something that may be foreign and you're hearing it for the first time, you're going to freeze up, right? And
Yeah,
so freezing up, now your brain is not going to do anything, and you're going to stall. You're going to look for excuses. You're going to start to pile on all these different things for you not to move forward.
yeah.
So, in saying that 100 people, 100 calls in 1 week, what are some strategies that could help them get to that 100 calls? Can they go through their social media? Can they talk in the DMs? What are some ways, that some strategies for that? Because I
Yeah.
want to be clear that, yeah, you can start off with 100 people. There's just various ways that you can find that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you break that down by 5 days a week, right, then that's even less, right? And then you can break that down by morning and afternoon. But funny story, when I first got into sales, I was asked to do something just like that. It was called the first 100. In order to get the job, I had to write a list of the first 100 people that I was going to reach out to. And so it kind of stretched me and it expanded my mindset that, hey, do I have some type of built in market? But I do believe that that first 100 taught me so many different things, right? So it taught me that I needed to play around and actually call and verbalize what my messaging is to different people to see if I was right on track. It allowed me to get some early no's in there and it allowed me to find some yeses. But here's what else it did. It also allowed me to find referrals. So how did I go about this? Especially now, I'm talking to all my friends out there, all my entrepreneurs that's like, oh, my family doesn't support my business. I don't want to bother them. I've already bothered them too many times. They're not going to buy into this, right? All those people that say, oh, my community doesn't want to support me until I start doing well. Okay, for all of you out there, I completely understand where you're going with this. So we have this beautiful thing called social media, and we have tons of social media platforms out there. So I want you to think about the one that you are most familiar with, the one that you are most comfortable with. And whenever someone calls me and they need a person, I always go through my list because that I go through my social media list because that's my list of resources. So what you want to do maybe for your first time is you want to look at your social media, pick 100 people from those calls, and maybe your first 100, you're not necessarily selling, you're just sharing what you are doing, right? So don't think as your first 100 people as of you having to make a sale. Maybe your end result is getting a referral or them saying, yeah, you know what, when everything's up and running, I would like to talk more about this. And maybe that's a sales call, right? So it all goes into how you set it up. So if you're new and this is something that you're struggling with, take those first 100 people and say, hey, listen, I'm starting a business. This is what I'm hoping this business would do. I'm super excited about it. Hey, have you thought about this? Or would you know anybody that might be interested or anybody that I could maybe talk to or connect with, right? Get the conversation going because here's something else that's so real. And when you guys are telling me that you're afraid of selling, I get it because there's something out there called buyer resistance. And so I spend the bulk of my time trying to lower that. And if you are going into your first 100 sales calls thinking that you have to make sales, then you are inadvertently putting out some type of subconscious energy and it could be repelling people. But if you change your mindset and just think, I'm not really here to sell. See, this is where you have to break down sales, marketing, prospecting, all of these different activities, right? And I know I'm going on a tangent, Leslie,
Oh,
but
no, no, no. Continue. No, no, no. Go ahead. Because I know
there's
this is
so
your man.
many, yeah, there's just so many different rabbit holes that you can go into. But I want you to think about you having to just share what your idea is about. Now, this also solves another problem, right? Because this is what tears friendships and families apart when it comes to business. So you have a family friend and you know that you've been promoting your product on social media, but that family friend goes and buys the same thing that you're promoting, but they buy it from somebody else. You can't get mad at them for doing that because you post about it on social media. Because did you call and share what you were doing to those people? And you probably didn't. You probably thought that, oh, I shared it on social media. I earned their business. It doesn't work that way. You need to pick up the phone. You need to share what it is that you're doing with those people.
There's so much great nuggets in all of that you shared, and I this is your jam, girl. So you speak as long as you want, but the buyer's resistance and the other part, because this is something that I train my clients on, don't be married to the results. When you get to the stage, and my background, I come from network marketing, and in network marketing, we go through a lot of those mindset things, right? And so if you're not, don't be married to the results. And as you start off, as you mentioned, your messaging. Some people on the fly, you'll ask them, what do you do? Like 30 seconds, tell me what is it that you do, very concise, very clearly. Most people can't do that. And so, as you're talking about going through these 100, you are refining that message over
Yes.
and over.
Yes.
Because obviously, the first time when you do it, the second time, the third time, it's not going to be polished, right? But
Yep.
by the time you get to call 50, oh, you're on a roll. And
Yeah.
as you get to that, here's what people are looking for. People are looking for your confidence in your messaging.
Yes.
Because if you can't confidently articulate what you do, you talk about buyer resistance. I'm like, well, if you don't know what you do, why am I collaborating with you? Because
Yeah.
as a customer, your customer is your partner,
Yep.
right? Your
Yep.
your customer is your collaborator.
Yep.
So if you cannot articulate confidently what you do, how you do it, and why I should pay my money,
Yep.
yeah. So
Exactly.
I love that 100. Yeah, that's absolutely great. Good. Anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, and if 100 seems like a big number, listen, it was just something that was given to me. And because I'm not a math junkie, it's easy for me to get my percentage. So I use 100, right? But if you want to start off with 50 one week and 50 the next week and get your 100, that's completely fine. Just know that your numbers are going to be on a biweekly basis. Um, yeah, I think let's talk a little bit about buyer resistance, right?
Mhm.
Because we all have that, and I think as sales professionals, we can be a little afraid of it, but we can use that to our advantage, right? So I want you guys to think about when you go into a store, let's say a big type of purchase store, maybe like furniture, right? So you go into the furniture store and the person comes up to you as soon as you walk in the door, they introduce themselves and they ask you, "Hey, what are you looking for and what's your budget?" Well, first off, you don't know me like that. Why are you in my pocketbook? So asking me what is my budget right at the drop of a hat is probably going to raise my buyer resistance. And what I mean by that is that you are making me put off a little bit because there is this global unspoken untrust for those of us in sales. And y'all know what I'm talking about because a lot of people don't even want to identify as a salesperson because of their icky, sleazy, there's just this personality. And it's totally not true for all salespeople. There might be some icky and sleazy salespeople out there, but we're not one of them, right? And so when people are approached by salespeople, they automatically put up this wall, right? So that's called buyer resistance. Your job is to help lower that wall by showing that you're in it to actually help them. So asking somebody what their budget is, like if I say, Leslie, I see you want to be a customer. How much money do you have? Leslie's going to be like, I don't really feel comfortable because she's just asking me about my money. She didn't ask me about my problems. She didn't ask me about, what my goals are or anything like that. So the best way to lower this buyer resistance is through asking really great questions in the proper order, right? So I teach people if you want to lower that resistance, why don't you take a step back and find out what is your customers or this prospect's current situation? Tell me a little bit about what's happening with your business right now or with whatever that, industry it is that you're selling. What's currently happening? What's going on? Right? And then you want to find out, okay, so what's the problem with what's currently going on? Like, what do you think is the problem? Right? And then you want to find out, well, what else is that problem affecting? Is it affecting your bills? Is it affecting your confidence? Is it affecting you being able to expand your business? And then the last type of question is finding out, okay, I understand your current situation. I understand your problem. I understand all these other underlying things that this problem is affecting in your life. Is this something that you want to solve now? Right? If you get a yes, that's perfect. Most of your selling at that point is pretty much already done because you've been able to identify a problem that's causing problems that somebody wants to fix. So now what you need to do is then convey what your product is. Now, I always talk about this: features versus benefits, features and bennies, right? What a lot of salespeople or a lot of early stage entrepreneurs do is they come on and they start talking about their business. Oh, I have this great coaching program. It's 90 days, it's online, it has 55 million modules, blah, 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 right? And then that person doesn't buy, and they're like, well, what's wrong with you, customer? Because you're not understanding the value of my coaching program, you know. And it's not that they didn't want to buy your coaching program. You didn't link it back to the benefits. You didn't link it back to that problem and how your product solves that problem. And then what, as a result of that problem being solved, what they're going to be able to do. That takes skill set, that takes intent, that takes active listening, that takes being able to ask great questions.
Mm, I love it. I love it because as you said, like I said, I've been in network marketing since 2008. And if I walk into a store or go anywhere and somebody asks me, what's your budget or whatever, like I'm like, please, like, no. Because to me, and I was looking to see, which one I am in terms of the personalities, because I can be a driver. I'm very expressive and I can be analytical. So I can go back and forth. And so when you come up to me and ask me what's my budget, you automatically put me in an analytical mode. And so now what you've made me do, you've triggered me to make me, okay, now I need some fact finding. Right. So it's interesting how that happens. And so I'm sure, and people that are watching, I would love for you to go through these personalities and maybe write them down and see how you react when you go to purchase something. And so back to Jay's example about, you got this great program, you got all these modules, and I need you to start now and and all these other things. But you didn't ask the people what's hurting them, right? At the end of the day, what's hurting them? Is it something that they need to solve, like you said now, right? Is it something that, no, it can wait 5 years from now? I know when I'm talking about books, I know a client, if one of my fact finding questions is, when do you want to publish, right? That's one of my questions. And so depending on your answer, I know where we're going,
Yep.
right? So if you tell me, yeah, I'm thinking about it in the next 5 years, well, I already know first my first thing will be, okay, well, this is not a customer now, right? So you kind of know where to put them, right? So this is not a customer now. But it may be somebody that I'll drip on. And then I'll continue with some questions, but pretty much you've already kind of answered a question for me.
Yes, exactly. And then you should always have some type of sequence for your non-buying prospects at the time. Like, not everybody can afford to get what you're selling at the moment, and not everybody is in the life space to where they are able to do what your product will help them to do. And so that's why that question is a really good question. So maybe they don't come into your flagship product, but maybe, hey, listen, I would still love to support you. I still understand that this is something down the road. How about we do this? Let's put you on the mailing list where you're going to still get those tips about how to validate your book idea as you're thinking about it over these next couple of months. Maybe that'll give you some tidbits. Maybe that will help inspire something in you. And then when you're ready, I'll be here to help you towards that next level. Just because somebody says no right now That's literally what it is, a no right now. Right? I don't
Right.
believe in a
Right.
full solid no, right? For now, there are going to be some, but for the most part, some people are saying not right now. Some people just can't do it. So, what do you have in place for those no, not right now?
So yeah, that's a great question, right? So um in sales, in our business, I believe it's relationship building. I don't believe it's
Mhm.
transactional. And I think
Mhm.
maybe why some people don't like the word sales is because they think it's just transactional. But it's
Mhm.
really up to you, as you said, in your process and in your system. It's really up to you of how you're now going to walk this person through that. Okay, they're not ready right now, but maybe they want to stick around you for a little bit to see how you deal with XYZ. Do you have a newsletter? Do you have a lower product that do you have a community that they can go into, right? So like you said, there's not a no permanently, because obviously either they were gravitated to you for some reason because we got on a call, right? That's
Mhm.
how I look at it, is
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
if you, 'cause I know me, if I'm not interested and I don't want to get on a call, I'm not getting on a call. But if for some reason we ended up getting on a call, for me, there's an opportunity here to build a relationship, right? And so
Absolutely.
even in building that relationship, I want to know, are you a business owner? What is it that you have that maybe I can help you with? So there's so many ways to look at it and not realize we're doing sales while we're doing sales.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why they say the fortune is in the follow-up, because there's a lot of times when customers just are not ready. But how do you respond to that, right? You work to build that relationship, and we have to be a little bit more diligent in how we do it. I mean, these big companies, they do it to us all the time. They show commercials. I might not be in the market for McDonald's right now, but you best believe McDonald's, if I turn on my TV, I'm going to see a McDonald's commercial, right? They are continuing to plant the seed that if I'm ever super hungry and I don't feel like cooking and I have very minimal money, I can go to McDonald's and I can get a burger. They're constantly marketing to us. And so for us, as we continue to build our little big businesses, as I like to call it, we have to kind of mimic that. We have to make sure that we're continuously planting seeds and putting things out there for our customers to grab hold on. The one thing that I really like about our community is that the stuff that we usually do when we talk about following up, it's still about helping and serving people, right? It's still about giving some nuggets here and there to help people further along in their journey. And that's what I love about it. When we plant seeds, we're usually, we're giving tidbits over here. So you want to make sure, as an entrepreneur, make sure that you are building relationships. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking about building relationships today over at the Sales Success Society, and how do we initiate and develop those for to actually prime our market for our message, right? And so we want to make sure that we're doing that holistically, but at the same time, what's your follow-up game? If someone says no to you, do you have something below that you can offer at a lower price? Do you have something that is absolutely free for those people who might, maybe their money is tied up into buying a house or tied up into raising their kids? We don't know. But have something at every single level so that way you're able to help and you don't close the door on somebody because they decided that your flagship product was not it for them right now.
Right now, absolutely. I love that. Made me think of different stages of life, right? Um, so when I was in my, because one of the things that I say is that the game doesn't change, the players do.
Mm,
And let me wrap that into sales and just looking at from a, because I'm always looking at, like you mentioned, companies. I'm always looking at how other companies are doing it, and so forth. So just think of, like you said, the commercials for McDonald's, right? So you could have someone that is maybe in their early 20s, they're not interested in McDonald's anymore, but in their 30s now they have a kid.
Mm,
How does that
mhm,
change the McDonald's story, right?
mhm,
How does that
mhm,
change that Disney story, right?
mhm.
And so if we can remember, the game never changes, it's just that the players do. So if you are consistent, because that's the other thing, right? Sometimes as business owners, we think we need to jump all over the place. Be consistent and realize this is for the long game.
Yeah.
It's not for now. This is a long game. Recently, I have a client. I started Mosaic in 2018, and I believe it's because they've been watching me for all these years, right? And I just recently got a client that I've known all this time. That's about
Mhm,
6 years, right?
mhm,
So,
mhm.
so be consistent. Realize this is for the long game, and as Jay is talking about sales and the different personality types and the different strategies, it is not for somebody just looking to let me just make some money. That's not what this is about.
No.
This is about building your business and having that type of foundation for
Yeah.
your business to build upon. So anything else you
Mhm.
want to add on that?
Yeah, let's talk about authenticity.
Mm,
Right? Because a lot of people think, let me just be transparent. I thought that I had to show up and be something different, right? And a lot of people that think about sales, they might think, oh, I have to be somebody else when I show up for selling. Oh, and Jay, you're also talking about the buyer types and you're saying that I need to be like them and blah, 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 blah. No, I'm saying you need to use some skill set in order to build rapport with them. But when we bring it back to authenticity, I want to tell you that you will automatically attract who is for you when you show up as you. I will even be as transparent as to say, for me, the person inside of me that I was running away from the most when I used to try to show up as a sales professional was the same person that my clients were running towards. Let me say that one more time. The person that I thought I shouldn't be is the person I needed to be because that is the person that my customers love the most. So, learning lesson for me too. I don't need to be anything else other than myself. I can be corny, I could be quirky, I could be, super amiable, I love to joke around, I love to play around, right? And I am super transparent a lot, sometimes too much, right? But I was always fearful that, oh, I'm not professional enough. Oh, I don't speak well enough. Oh, they're never going to like what I have to say. What I found is that this person that you see with all the jokes, all the laughter, prankster, all that good stuff, that is the person that my customers wanted. That is what they needed. That's what they loved about me the most. So never be afraid to show up as yourself. Now, grow the skill set, right? Being authentic and having a skill set, I think some people like to say, I'm just going to be authentic and however it comes out, it comes out. No, 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 no. I'm not saying that. Be authentic, but still growing your skill set because you still need to know how to position a conversation that's going to convert. So I wanted to share that, Leslie, because I think a lot of times people think, I don't know what people think about authenticity and selling, but you can absolutely show up as yourself and still be super successful.
I wrote this down, as you said. People, and Menno Skin says, yes, it's not a hobby. Absolutely, right? So, what we're building and growing, and as we're talking about these different things, it's not for hobby. Because if you want to just go out there and make some money, you can go out there and make some money. But
Yep.
if you want to put all the different things together to really grow this thing, it's not for the hobbies. But what you made me think about is, people. I'll hear people say that, yeah, this is who I am. I'm authentic and I'm real, and this is, just take me as I am. And I'm always leery when I hear that, because I don't hear you're growing the skill set.
Mhm.
I don't hear you're growing the mindset, which is
Mhm.
so important, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
just hear that this is who I am and this is who I'm always going to be, right? So I love that you paired those two things together, because really do people talk about that. People
Mhm.
talk about being authentic and just being here and take me for who I am. And so let
Mm.
me give an example, even for myself. So all my life I always wanted to be a blonde. But my dad is 85. So just
Mhm.
imagine the time frame that he's from. And so growing up, I've always heard that Black women that have blonde hair, they remind him of a cockroach.
Ah,
Um,
wow.
girl, I don't know where that came from. So I never wanted to do it, right? And I like my hair natural. I like my hair short. I like colors. Okay. So COVID hits 2020, and hairdressers, hairstylists shut down. Can't do nothing. And so when I was able to get back to the hair salon, I said, I want to cut my hair. I want to go blonde. So here's the first thing my stylist says. What does your husband say? I was, "Well, what you mean? What did my husband say?" I ended up calling her and I said, he's here. So you could, he does not care. And so that was able to free me of me being really and truly who I am, because that person had been suppressed for so many years,
Mm.
hearing other things. Now, some people may think, oh my goodness, it's just a haircut, it's just a hair color. But no, that thing freed me. And not only did it
Mm.
free me, for me, I even see how me showing up as myself and showing up, because it reminded me of that little girl. And even that is how, like you said, your clients and your customers, that when I get on a call with a client, oh my God, I just love your vibe. That's just who I am. Now, let me take you back 10 years ago. You would not have gotten on a call or Zoom with me and say you love my vibe, because I
Mm.
was trying to be somebody that I
Mm.
wasn't,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so being yourself is that internal freedom, but it does not say that you ain't gonna grow and you ain't gonna be personal develop. It
Yeah.
don't say none of that.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love it. And Meadow Skins put, oh my God. So yeah, just something as simple as cutting my hair. And actually I was looking back that my oldest daughter is gonna be 30 in January. And
What?
and I was looking at a picture when she was born, and I had my hair cut short, and I didn't have it colored the way that I wanted. And now people see me, well, didn't you have purple last week? And now you got it gray, and then you got it blue. Yeah, that that's just how I show up. And
Yeah.
and also, like you mentioned, the way that you show up, and people realize, oh my God, I can show up with my quirks and my jokes and my pranks and all of that, and still be successful. See,
Mhm.
that's the other part. That's the other part that people miss.
Mm.
However you show up, there's a few people out there in the world that's just like you, and they're waiting for
Yep.
you to show up authentically as you are, because you're giving them permission. And for me, Jay, since I did that, I have women in church, women all over. I get inboxes. Oh my God, I love your hair color. I love your colorfulness. I get that all the time. And now, when I first did it, no, I was not expecting that. But now, when I hear it, and I've even heard women say, Leslie, I wish I had your courage to cut my hair, because I so want to cut my hair. When I hear women tell me those things, my first response back to them is, I continually do this because I want women to show up. So
Yes.
So for me, as we talk about Mosaic Sparks, a platform for visionary women, it is not something that I do. It is my being. Just like with you with sales, it is your being.
Yeah.
And so being authentic in who we are, whatever we do, that's our being. And it's
Yeah.
within everything that we do. So yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't want to go on a tangent because I could go on a tangent on that.
I
So
I I love what you bring to the table, and I love your style. I remember one time you had blue hair,
yes, ma'am.
right?
Yep.
Because when you show up that way, you inspire us to show up and be ourselves, right? It signifies a safe space. And there is something said about a signature look. And I'll be honest with you, when I first got into medical sales, I needed a way to stand out in the marketplace. There's millions of us out there, not too many people that look like me color wise, right? But there's millions of us out there, right? And so I have a very unique name. My name is pronounced John A, but everybody calls me Jay. This is before everybody start calling me Jay. This is the J story, right? So when I first got into medical sales, no, I was not memorable to the customers.
Mm.
When I wasn't memorable, I didn't have access. So remember this, being memorable gives you access to more customers because you're getting into spaces now because somebody knows who you are, because networking is not about who you know. Networking is about who knows you. And so when we talk about our signature style, there was something that I had to do because I was not memorable. And I wore my hair back in a bun and I put on, remember those old school flower clips that we used to be able to put? I wore a clip in my hair. And all of a sudden, it was all the rage. And the next day, I wore a clip and the next day. And now I have become the girl who wears the clip and
Mm.
the flower in her hair that matched her outfit. And it gave me an identity in order to be memorable to the customer. So when you start thinking about your personality, don't shy away. If you like to wear bold, funky colors, wear bold, funky colors. My thing is jewelry. I love to wear big, chunky jewelry and a nice popping lip. That is my thing, right? So, what is your thing, and how does your thing help you to access your tribe? In other words, the people that are going to be attracted to that, they'll flock to you just from you simply being yourself. So, I don't know if it's something that's out there when it relates to, our business. I know there's a signature talk. I know there's a signature speak. There's your signature program, your signature coaching program. But what about your signature look? What does that signature look say about you? And does that draw people in?
I love that. You know, I wrote that down. Your signature style, your signature look. I ain't never thought about that, but now you got me. You got
You
that.
didn't need to think about it, Leslie, because you naturally got it.
I love that. I love that. So you bring me to a question.
Mhm.
If you were a brand, what would be your slogan?
Well, my slogan is learn, do, become. And the reason
Mm.
why that's my slogan, learn, do, become, is because when you come from a place of insecurity, not knowing your worth, and finally realize,
Jay must have froze.
uh-oh, am I
Yeah,
back?
you froze. You're back now.
Okay. I don't know where I left off at, but I'll start it all
Yeah,
over
start
again
over.
because this is some juicy stuff and it's very transparent. I come from a place of, being growing up insecure, not sure of my worth, not sure of my value. And when I got to a place to where I realized that I truly can become the person that I always wanted to become and do the things I always wanted to do by learning, that gave me power, that gave me courage, that allowed me to have the curiosity to go out there and to try different things. That gave me the boldness to stand in rooms I never thought I would be standing in. But everyone, if you don't take anything from this talk, I want you to know that you have the power to learn to do anything to become the person that you always wanted to be. So that is my slogan: learn, do, become.
That is, my God, that's, ooh, learn, do, become. Because with everything, wherever we are in life, we've learned, right? You started a job and you may not have known the ins and out of that job, but you learned, right?
Mm-hmm,
As
mm-hmm,
a child, you learn to walk. You
mm-hmm.
so powerful. Learn, do, become.
But here's the other side of that too, Leslie, is, and I'm speaking to all of my people that got 20, 30 virtual courses on their computer and you got all the passwords to it, right?
Ooh,
You have the ability to learn. You might be on these platforms, in these classes. Heck, you might even be on this YouTube channel right now, learning some tidbits that's going to help you. But if you do not act, if you don't execute, if you don't do the do in the middle, you'll never become. And that do is underlined. The word that comes after that is be consistent. In order for you to become, that means you doing something consistently. That's what changes your character. That should change your daily routine. It'll also change your results.
that's so powerful because we hear the phrase, what is it? Knowledge is power, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've added on to that. Knowledge is just knowledge. If you ain't do nothing with that knowledge, it ain't got no power.
Yep.
So yeah, the learning, which is your learning, and then you got to put that thing in action. Like
Yep.
anybody that I coach, whatever, it is about let's get into action.
Yep.
Because if you stall and
Yep.
don't do anything with it, what good was it to learn? So yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to tell you, if all you're doing is taking in wisdom, if all you're doing is taking in knowledge, you're constipated. You're not going to be able to be creative. Nothing is going to work until you now, for lack of a better word, do, right?
Ah, love that.
You're not going to be able to become the person until you do. So and I've been there, and I can speak from experience when I've literally been creatively constipated because I have way too many ideas, way too many other people's strategies, and now I'm paralyzed,
Mm.
right? You don't want to get to the point to where you're paralyzed. So I put a lot of emphasis. Yes, you have that power to learn, but do you have the courage to do? And that's what I want everybody to really like think about. Like, you've learned a lot. Have you executed? Have you done anything? To say that something works or does not work, how will we know?
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. As we get ready to round out, I got two questions for you. How do you maintain, because I know there's some people out there probably want to get an answer for this. How do you maintain motivation and resilience when faced with constant rejection?
Okay, that's a really good question. First off, you have to reframe. Uh,
Mm,
you have to think about rejection. Like, what does that mean? Right? Because if somebody's giving you a no, I mean, I show up to no's all day long. But there's also a lot of yeses that accumulate and gives me success. So when I was out there selling, mostly what I heard was no, but the consistency got me to one or two yeses per day. And as my skill set increased, then I maybe got to 3 to 4 yeses a day. Then I got to maybe 5 to 6 yeses per day. And that's why skill set is very important. So you have to rethink what rejection means. People aren't rejecting you personally. People aren't, telling you that your idea is not good. They're not saying any of that stuff. It's just that we have to make sure that the way that we're presenting it, and like I said, a lot of that comes with skill set. So think about how you talk to yourself. The other thing I would say is you need to surround yourself with people who are doing the same thing. If you surround yourself with a whole bunch of people who are afraid to act, you're going to continuously be afraid to act. But if you're surrounding yourself with people who are moving and shaking and they're getting stuff done in their business, I'm sorry, Alexa is going off on me. If you're being surrounded by those type of people, then it constantly makes you want to show up and to do something. And that's why it's really good to be in a good group coaching program where there's other people that are moving right along with you, that are having the same struggles, that can relate to what you're doing. Right. So be mindful how you talk to yourself, get around some other people, and work on your skill set. I can't say that more than enough. It's almost like, going to, playing football or whatever. Some kids, they start off midget league and then they end up going to the NFL. Well, guess what? Just because they make it to the NFL, they start making a whole bunch of millions of dollars. I guarantee you they're still showing up to practice every day and on time to do what? Practice. Why are we not doing the same thing when it comes to our business?
Absolutely. Oh, practice, practice, practice. So as we get ready to end out, um, I have one other question that's more of a legacy building question that I'm going to
Mm.
ask. And then share with the people how they can get in contact with you. The ticker should be running for your website. So, share with them where are you on any other platforms. So
Yeah.
if you want to go ahead and do that now, and then I'll come back and ask you the last question and get ready to close out.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, listen, this has been a phenomenal talk. Leslie is she has great questions, and I just want to sit here and talk to her for the rest of the day because she's making me feel like a superstar over here. But
You are.
uh, if you want to continue the conversation with me, if this is something that you've been struggling with, have questions about, or you're trying to see how you can improve or increase your sales and make bigger sales, let's sit down, let's have a conversation. You can schedule some time with me if you go to my website, www.jaunawalker.com. That's JAUNAIWALKER.com. There is a spot where you can book some time with me. We can spend some time talking about what it is that you're doing. You can also find me on any form of social media at Jaune Walker. That is going to be Facebook, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, which is the new social media that's out there, TikTok. Everything is at my first name, last name. Feel free, even IG as well. Feel free to inbox me and let's set some time. I have some really cool things that's coming up, some really cool freebies. I have a lot of resources to offer. If you're in need of resources, some could be my own, some could be others. And not every resource that I have is a paid resource. I have a lot of stuff that I could, throw your way. So please feel free to reach out. Let's continue this conversation and let's see how we can improve your sales or your marketing game.
I hope you guys caught that she is her name on every platform. That in itself is selling, right? Because as anyone comes across her, they already know, well, let me search for her search her by her name. One of the things that I've heard for many, many years is whenever a platform comes out, go and see if you can find your name. Whether you're going to use it, you're going to be on that platform or not. But your name is your name. So Jay, thank you for that. That was a
Sure.
great tip. That was absolutely a great tip. So our last question is, what is something that you want to complete in your lifetime?
Something that I want to complete in my lifetime, as far as professionally or
Any,
personally.
anything, something, if you want to have one for both, but it's more of, like I said, it's more of a legacy
Yeah.
question.
Well, when I first got into sales, and I think I share this story a lot, I absolutely sucked at it. Like it was bad, y'all, like real bad. And I needed to make a decision on how I was going to continue. And I decided that I was going to teach myself how to sell. And I ran across a lot of sales gurus. And one of those gurus is the late great Zig Ziglar. And if any of my friends out there knows who he is, he was one of the best, funniest guy that really just had a lot of sales knowledge, and he was able to transfer that to us in such a way that I was able to see so many different results. And so I owe a lot of my success to Zig Ziglar, even though I've never met him in person. Watching his videos and listening to his cassettes, because back then we didn't have CDs, we had cassettes, right? So my ultimate goal, and maybe you guys can help me with this, is I want to be the person that has impact in my generation, like Dig had in my life, for those people who are entrepreneurs, for those people who are sales professionals. I would love to create that momentum where I am world renowned, just as much as Zig was, for the results that I'm able to get to other people. And so that's what I push for. That's what I strive for, because I found a great career by accident, where I didn't know. If you would have told me 20 something years ago I would be standing in front of you just doing this podcast, I would have laughed at you because I didn't think it was possible. Now I know it's possible, so now I know my dream is possible. So that's my dream. That's what I want to do. I want to impact the world, and teach them these sales and marketing skills for their business so that they can have the freedom, they can have the confidence, and they can have the courage to create whatever product that they want, and go out into the marketplace and provide for their family, and provide for their community. That's my ultimate goal.
Ooh, I absolutely love that. And when you're flying around on the jet and going here to the red carpet, ooh, Leslie gonna be there because I knew you as you were building this thing, right? So
Absolutely.
yes, what a great accomplishment. And here's the thing I want to say before we end out, and just want to say to everyone, thank you for joining us. For those that are going to come back and watch the replay, put in hashtag replay, and go ahead and tap Jay. She is available, so go ahead and tap her in her inbox. But here's the one thing that I do want to say is that whenever we have goals and desires and dreams, it's never just us. Because if you notice what Jay said, is that to impact others so they can impact their families and themselves, to be world renowned, right? So that we can do okay by ourselves, but we can do tremendous with others, right? And so others look like a community, our global community, so many different things. So Jay, thank you so much. And real quick, is there any last things you want to leave the people with before we get ready to close out?
No, I just want to say tap in, guys. Tap into the skill sets that you need to be the person that you want to become. And I just want to say, Leslie, thank you so much. And kudos to you on all of your success. I see you and I'm so proud of you. And I'm so happy that we get to be friends and we get to follow each other's journeys. And you best believe you will be on that jet with me. Your jet will be next to my jet.
Yes. We said it here first. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Thank you all so much for tapping in. For those that are going to tap in later, also put in that hashtag replay. Look forward to see you in 2 weeks. Mosaic Sparks goes live twice a month. So although we're coming into December, we're still going to be going live, and then we'll have some stuff to talk about from Thanksgiving. So we wish you a happy, healthy Thanksgiving with your friends and your family. And for all the women business owners out there, go ahead and take a break and breathe. So with that, we'll see you next time.